In Maseches Rosh Hashanah Daf Yud Ches, we learn that HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at every one of us. In Rosh Hashanah, as the Gemara says, Kivnei Maron. The Gemara explains what is Kivnei Maron. 3 different interpretations in the Gemara. Either Kechelos Beis David, like the soldiers of David HaMelech, or Kemalos Beis Choron, tall mountain. At the end there is a path, a very narrow path that only one person can pass at a time. Or like sheep, Kivnei Imrana, that leave the pen, very narrow entrance, only one can leave at a time. Ask Yankele Galinsky, Zachetzadik Livrocha. It's bottom line, what the Gemara is trying to tell us, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at us on an individual basis. So why do you have to give me 3 different understandings? What Bnei Maron is, it's the same thing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at every one of us separately. And Yankele explained with a story. There was a guy who decided to buy a lot of merchandise. With all the money that he had and money that he borrowed. And then he decided, in order to go back to his country, he is going to do it in the middle of the night, where the soldiers can't find him, so he doesn't have to pay the taxes. He's going to try to smuggle the border. So he decided to find somebody who would be willing to take him, and indeed, he found. He decided to go on a very dark night, in the middle of the night, in a place where hopefully no soldiers will catch them. And at midnight, he puts all the merchandise in the carriage, and he starts shaking. So the driver asks him, "What's going on with you? Why are you shaking? There's still another 5 hours before we get to the forest, to the border. What are you worried about?" And the merchant explains, "My whole future is up to stake. It's so risky what I'm doing. I can become so rich. On the other hand, if they catch me, who knows what they'll do? They'll take all the money. They'll put me in jail. Won't be able to see my family. Don't you understand why I'm shaking? I'm terrified." They continue driving. After 2.5, 3 hours, now the driver starts shaking. And the merchant asks him, "So why are you shaking now?" The driver explains, "This merchandise is not mine, but ultimately I'm assisting you. So they'll definitely take my carriage, they'll take my horse away, and they may throw me into jail for a month or 2. It's scary, so I'm shaking." What about the horses? Horses don't care. Not at midnight, not when they get to the border, not after they pass the border. They're the same. They just don't care. They're clueless. There are 3 types of Jews in the world that HaKadosh Baruch Hu checks separately on Rosh Hashanah. Those who are compared to Chaylos Beis David, the soldiers of Beis David who used to practice before the battle, to get ready. Those are the people who wake up when they hear Rosh Chodesh Elul is coming, when they bench Elul and they say, "Whoa, Elul is coming," they start shaking, because Rosh Hashanah ultimately will follow. And they know they're trying to smuggle the border. They need to awaken to Teshuva, start shaking. But there is also another type of a Jew. He only wakes up much later, just before Rosh Hashanah. He's like Malos Beis Choron, that narrow path on the mountain. Only when you get there, you start shaking, because now you have to walk one at a time. So just before Rosh Hashanah, you wake up. Whoa, tomorrow is Judgment Day. You start shaking. There's another type. It's compared to Bnei Imrana, to the sheep. Sheep leave the pen. They have no idea why they're counted, and on every 10th, the Balabos makes a red mark. This one is going to be shechted. The sheep have no idea. They're clueless. They don't care, not before, not after. HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at every one of us separately, and there are 3 types of behaviors. Kol doidi doifek. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is calling us. He's knocking on the door. He starts early, and Elul gives us time to practice, to get ready. We have to wake up and do tshuva.